日はクエリ先生にお越しいただいております。先生、本日はよろしくお願いいたします。
よろしくお願いします。
まずは自己紹介の方をお願いいたします。
My name is Jason Query. I'm originally from Boise, Idaho in the United States, but I currently live in Bellingham, Washington, which is right by the US-Canada border. I'm an economist. I teach introductory microeconomics, microeconomic theory, and then international trade and sports economics at Western Washington University. My research focuses on how non-policy barriers to trade impact our trade relationships. So rather than the government setting tariffs and quotas, things like how do geography and culture impact whether or not countries trade with each other. Outside of my work, I enjoy playing board games, and I'm a big sports enthusiast. I really like baseball, I really like sumo, and I really like college sports, especially.
ありがとうございます。では、次にこの大学でどういった授業をしていきたいなと考えていますか？
Sure. In America, my lecture style is focused on getting the students to engage with the material, whether it's giving them practice problems or giving them real-world examples to sort of solidify, because economics can be very math-oriented and a lot of students aren't particularly comfortable with that math. And so I've been trying to do the same thing here in Japan, combining the lecture that's necessary to explain the theories with handing out practice problems and having the students work through them on their own, or giving them real-world examples. Like in one international trade course I'm teaching, we were talking about comparative advantage, and so I could bring in the current topic of Nippon Steel trying to buy US steel, and so that's something they'll have seen in the news themselves, so they can relate what they're learning in the classroom to what they see in the real world.
ありがとうございます。では、先生の今研究されていることって教えていただいてもいいですか？
Yeah, so I am a microeconomist by trade, I guess. Specifically, I'm applied microeconomist, so I don't develop economic theories. Instead, I take real-world data to try and answer specific questions about trade. When I was a graduate student, which feels way too long ago, so 2011 to 2015, is that right? 2010 to 2015. At the time, the world had sort of mostly agreed that trade was good, and so things like tariffs that inhibit trade were bad. And so I focused my research on non-policy trade barriers, like culture, like geography, like things that aren't specifically meant to target trade, like when we go through customs at the airport after visiting a foreign country, we have to declare everything we bring in. That's a barrier to trade that I look at, because it's not meant to inhibit trade so much as it is just meant to make sure people aren't bringing in anything dangerous. So I look at those things specifically. And of course, the irony is I graduated with my PhD from the University of Oregon in 2015, and in 2016, I'd say starting in 2016 with the election of Donald Trump in the United States, but also with Brexit and other world events, the world has sort of moved back towards imposing tariffs and things like that. So, a little awkward timing on my research, but I think it's pretty interesting. I have one paper that shows that the U.S. is at a bit of a trade disadvantage because of how large the U.S. is. if a good is produced in the middle of the United States, it has a long way to go just to reach the port to get on the boat, right? Rather than in a country like Japan, you're never too far from a port, and so it's easy to get goods to there. I have a paper on that, and then I have a paper on how differing cultural views impact trade, like the idea that a U.S. state that is very environmentally conscious and concerned about global warming is more likely to trade with a country that is also concerned about those things. So that's my research.
ありがとうございます。最後に日本に来て楽しみなこととか楽しかったことって何かありますか？
Sure, both things. So, in fact, last Friday I went to a Vissel Kobe soccer game. Like I said, I'm a big sports fan, and I love Japan's culture around sports. It's very different than the U.S. culture around sports. I'm a big baseball fan, but since I got here, every Koshien game was sold out, so I haven't got to go to a baseball game yet. But I went to a soccer game just last week, and that was a lot of fun. As I said, I'm a big sumo fan, so I hope to go to the Osaka sumo basho before I leave. And one thing I've always wanted to do is visit Sapporo for the Yuki Matsuri. And so, despite some people's advice to not try it, in February I hope to visit the Yuki Matsuri and then spend some time driving around the rest of Hokkaido.
先生、ありがとうございました。
Thank you for taking your time for us.
はい、ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。